Hello everyone, it's Lorinda Macon. Today it was on my heart to talk to you guys about being able to share your testimony with someone. Sometimes we feel like we don't really have a testimony, but trust and believe, if you sit back and think about some things that you've been through in life, everyone, and I mean everyone, should have a testimony. We may not feel like we may feel like our testimony is nothing, or it's not big like someone else's testimony is, but your testimony is your testimony. It shouldn't matter what the testimony is, what it's about, or how big it is, or how small it is. Your testimony is your testimony. You never know what your testimony can do in someone else's life. I remember growing up in church and how the church used to have testimony service, and how people used to stand up and testify. And at first I didn't really, understand the purpose of testimony service. But and as I got older and grew up in the church and stayed in church, I had began to realize like testimony service is really important. That's the time where you're able to share with someone what God has done in your life. And I feel like testimony service is very, very, something that can really help someone else's life. We go day by day thinking that we're the only ones that, go through specific things or specific situations. But when you really sit down and listen to someone else's testimony, you realize that, hey, it's not so bad after all. I'm not the only one that going through this situation. I can remember standing up testifying at church one particular Sunday, and I testified about being in foster care and not really having a relationship with my mom like I wanted to have, not really having a relationship with my sisters, like I really wanted to have. But now, as we got older, we have that bond, and back to the foster care situation, I thank God that, of course, we don't understand the situations, but I thank God, for me, my sisters and I situations, growing up in foster care, because we're able to reach out to, other young girls that are other children that grew up in foster care, and they don't understand how to live life because they feel like they were outcast or anything like that. And I remember growing up in school, even high school, I must say, I remember growing up in high school and I just felt like an outcast. I just felt like, it wasn't fair that, these same kids that I'm going to school with, they get to go home to their mom, and I didn't. I just felt like, my life was so much different than theirs. But that's why I say it's very important. You never know, what you're going through. You can be going through something, and you think what you're going through is just so big and you just can't get out of it. But once you go through it and you'll be able to testify about it, and your same testimony can help someone else, that's going through that same situation that you were actually going through. And I thank God that, as I got older, I was able to, testify and, help other individuals in my life that been through the same situation that I had been through, and come to find out, they some parts of the situation, they took it, just as hard as I did, being able to talk to them and ask them, how did you feel about the foster care system? How did you feel about, getting taken from your parents? And everyone have a different answer. Some individuals say, they think it was a good idea because their parents, just needed time, or their parents just weren't fit parents. But other individuals feel like it just wasn't fair. You born with this set of parents, so why can't I live with my specific set of parents that I was born with? My parents say they love me and this and that, and why can't I live with them? But I thank God that I was able to minister, to other young individuals' lives, to tell them that, yes, we're born with a specific set of parents. God blessed us with a specific set of parents, and even though you were taken from them, from that specific set of parents, like our situation was a little bit different. We were taken from our mom and dad, but we still had that connection with mom and dad. We still were able to, talk to mom and dad, so we knew who mom and dad was. But, it's a lot of kids in foster care who wasn't that fortunate, kids growing up and they don't know who their parent, they don't know who their parents are. They don't know who their real family is. We have kids out here, today, even, teens, 18, 19 years old, seeking out, seeking through the internet, trying to find out, who their real family are, because for most of their life they grew up in the system. But I thank God, for my particular situation and my sisters and I situation, because even though we were in the foster care system, I thank God for, allowing us to stay connected with our parents. Our parents wasn't in the best situations, but I thank God for allowing us to stay connected with, our parents, and allowing us to grow through the situations that we went through. I can't tell you every little situation we went through. That'd be, different videos. But I thank God, through our situations, you guys wouldn't believe, what we went through, and to be able to have this sort of outcome, you have to know that there was nobody but God. But I thank you guys for tuning in, and I just wanted you guys to know that it doesn't matter how small your testimony is, doesn't matter how big your testimony is, it doesn't matter how short or long your testimony is. Your testimony can be a change in someone else's life. Your testimony can bless somebody else's life. So do not sit on your testimony. If you have an opportunity to tell your testimony, tell it. I'm telling you, tell it. I thank you guys for tuning in. I love you guys. Have a blessed one.